Well, hey guys, happy Monday, the day after Mother's Day. It's my busy day. As you guys know, Mondays are my busy day, and I was so tired this morning. So, because I haven't gone in for a couple weeks now to get my vitamin B12 shot, it was the first thing I did this morning. I ran in and got one, so I'm feeling better. What a difference they make. If you don't get them, you should look into getting. They're only $20, you guys. And I heard even different pharmacies. You can just go walk into different pharmacies and they do it. I think it's our CVS up here that offers them. Not all of them do, but you can call around and see. But for $20, I don't know if your insurance would cover it. I go to a place where it doesn't take my insurance, but it's $20. Well worth it. But not everybody needs them. Some people can just take the vitamin B12 or whatever. But like I've said multiple times, if you don't know, I had lap band surgery years ago, and I just don't absorb things like most people. So the shot, it makes a huge difference because I've tried the ones under the tongue, the ones that dissolve, and they just don't affect me the same way. But when I go in and get the shot, whoo boy, I feel it. It is worth the $20. I'll tell you that. It only lasts a couple days, and you're only supposed to go in once a week, but I think you could go in twice if you wanted to, but I don't want to spend the money. I try to hold off for a couple weeks, but I can feel it. So anyway, yeah, I went in, I got my vitamin B12 shot, so hopefully it'll be a good week. I got to catch up. I didn't do Uber this last week because I was with my grandkids, which was way more profitable in my book. We had memories and just had a grand time. I adore my grandkids, all of them. So it was so worth it. I enjoyed being with them. But now this week I got to make up for it. I got to get my butt out there and hustle. So I'm going to be doing that. But I wanted to tell you guys a little bit of a story, with yesterday being Mother's Day and all, because I was never one of those little girls that thought about growing up and becoming a housewife and having kids. That just did not sound appealing to me at all. And until I got pregnant with my first son, I never even thought I'd have kids because it just wasn't something I thought about. I was the one. I My mom had a friend that lived across the street. Her name was Alice. And Alice didn't have kids. She was married, but she didn't have kids. And she was my ideal. I just thought, oh, this is what I want to be when I grow up, because Alice's house was always clean. It was quiet. She always looked happy and peaceful. She drove a cool car, not a mom car. And she kind of adopted me. She, would take me out shopping or take me out to eat, or I'd go over and just sunbathe with her, just hang out with her when I was a teenager. And I just, that was my ideal. I thought, yep, this is what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm going to be happy. My mom just seemed busy. My mom was always cleaning and looking after kids. She had 8 kids. And so she was a busy woman. And God rest her soul. She was a beautiful woman, and I didn't come to appreciate her until I was older and had my kids. Now I realize she was amazing. But when I was younger, she just looked frazzled, I thought. She didn't look as cool as Alice. Alice could spend all the money on herself. So she had cooler clothes and her hair was always done. And she just, looked like she had a way better life. Whether she did or not, I'll never know. But it appeared that way. So anyway, yeah, when I did become a mother, I was 17 when I got pregnant with my first son. I did a video about it a while back. And that came about only because I was married. I got married at 17 because, and that's all in that video. I just don't want to go over it all and explain it. But basically, my mom told me I either had to marry this guy or I had to move back home. She didn't want me living in sin. So in my 17-year-old mind, it was like, no big deal. I'll get married, and then when I'm done, I'll leave him. That's honestly how I thought. I was an idiot, I know. But so yeah, I got married, had a big old wedding and all that stuff. But I got pregnant immediately, and as soon as I got pregnant, I realized, oh no, I'm not gonna do marriage and a baby. That's no. So I split up from my husband right then and there. And, little did my mom know she would be getting me back within 6 months after paying for this big grand wedding, and I'd come back home pregnant. So I did. I came home, divorced my first husband. And then I was 18 by the time I delivered my son. But, It was the greatest moment of my life. I had no idea that I was going to feel this way. It was everything. I was meant to be. The universe knew that I needed this. And I just immediately fell head over heels in love with my son. I thought he was the greatest thing ever. I just absolutely adored him, still do. And it was life changing. And so, at that point, I realized, okay, this is why people have kids. I get it now. You know, I didn't really care for anybody else's kids, but I really liked mine. I thought he was pretty special. And I think all moms feel that way to an extent. But I really did. I tolerated other people's kids, but mine was really special. You know what I mean? And even till to today, I'm the same way. It's obnoxious, but I think that most moms are that way, or they should be. You should think your kids are the greatest. I know from some of my subs, people that comment, I love it when they brag about their kids and tell me how wonderful they are. That means a lot because I know that's a good mom. That mom thinks very highly of her kids, as we all should. So yeah, so then I had my son, and because that situation, I would have never had him, and I would have never met my forever husband, who I met when my first son was 6 months old. I ended up going to work and moved in with my sister, and we had a house, and life was good. And she had her daughter, and I had my son, and so anyway, I met my husband at that point, and um, from the time my son was 6 months old, we were together. 2 years later, we ended up getting married, and then it wasn't. I was like 5 or 6 years after my first son that I got pregnant with my second son, which another angel from heaven fell out of the sky. I just thought he was just miraculous, most beautiful baby I'd ever seen. I just was blown away, and same thing, just absolutely worshiped him. And at this point, I was looking forward to having a girl angel because I had two boy angels, and I thought I got to have a girl. So 2 years later, I had my daughter. Same thing, just absolutely amazing, mind blown. Just couldn't believe how lucky I got to have, three just amazing children. And still felt that way all through their, still today. I think they're just incredible human beings. I'm just so grateful that the universe decided to let me be their mom because I have learned so much from them. I appreciate them all so much. They're just kind, decent, compassionate human beings. You know what I mean? They're and they're all incredibly talented people. They just, I would just enjoy them as human beings, even if they weren't my children, if I was to meet them, because they're just so charismatic. My kids are. They're just fun and loving, and everybody. I'm not just saying that because I'm their mom. I swear. If you met them, you feel the same way. They just are very charismatic and just they're good people, and they make other people feel good. People enjoy them. They've all always been like that. So yeah, so then motherhood did turn out to be a good thing. It wasn't, but I only had three. Like I said, my mom had eight, although she did give one up for adoption. She only raised seven, but still, I could tell it took its toll on her having that many kids. And yet, I still, even after I had my daughter, I thought that I would have liked to have had more kids because I loved my kids so much. But fortunately, my husband, he thought about finances and stuff, and he realized we weren't going to be able to afford to have more than the three that we had. We struggled with the three. I can't imagine trying to raise seven kids, not in this economy. So yeah, I totally enjoyed motherhood. It was everything I never knew it could be. I just didn't realize it was going to be the way it is. And my mom, bless her heart, even though she had that many kids, she still felt the same way about her kids that I do. That's why she was the mother-in-law from hell, because she just thought her kids were just so fantastic. Nobody was ever going to be good enough, even though we were terrible. Like I said, we weren't as great as my kids. I love my siblings. They're great. They're wonderful, but they, I know our faults. None of us are perfect. But I love that our mom thought we were, and everybody should feel that way about their children. You should think your children are the greatest thing. Everybody needs to have somebody in their life that thinks they are amazing. And to have that kind of unconditional love. We all deserve to have that. And I think that's why my children are happy and successful today, because they feel good about themselves, because they know they're amazing and wonderful. Although they're humble, they'd be like, Mom. And the same, goes with my grandkids. I cry. I literally cry when I sit back and I watch them, because I'm like, how did I end up with these kids? They're just all, I love them all so much. It brings me to tears sometimes, but that's that's what it's all about. So yeah, that's what Mother's Day, means to me. I stop and I reflect on how grateful I am that I did end up becoming a mom, because I'll tell you, if I hadn't had them, I think I would have been totally fine. I would have been wonderful at being a single woman without kids after, watching Alice. I don't think I would have had an issue with it. And I'm always surprised when people ask women that don't have kids, because you see more and more of it. Oh, do you regret it? Or, just the way they act. And it's like, so rude for one thing, but for two, not everybody was meant to be a mom. Just because we're females and we have a womb doesn't necessarily mean that, we should have been a mom. Not everybody is meant to be a parent. And some of these women that don't have kids still contributed to a lot of lives. I know there's been a lot of women in my children's lives that weren't their biological mom, and still, they had wonderful aunties and friends and stuff that were there for them. So, you can still be nurturing and maternal without, giving birth to children. And they don't seem to ask men that. They don't ask men, if they regret not having kids, but for some reason they feel compelled to ask women that. And like I said, I know a lot of women who not only didn't get married, but didn't have kids. And guess what? They're completely happy. They're living great lives. It's just, everybody has a different path. You just, and I think that's the problem, is we feel like we have to follow a certain path. There's only one path to happiness. And if we don't follow that, our lives just aren't going to be fulfilling. And kids are waking up. They're realizing that's not true. You can still have a very happy, fulfilling life without getting married, without having children. There are other things in life, so where was I going with this? Oh yeah, Mother's Day. So yeah, I had a great Mother's Day. Like I said, I always, no matter what, just knowing that I have these three adults now, the adult children that I just love, that are out there and that love me. They love me back. And I appreciate that. They treat me well and they're so sweet to me. And yeah, they make me feel like I did something right, and because I can't take all the praise or whatever for them turning out the way they did. My husband obviously contributed a huge part in that. And so I'm grateful to have a partner that helped me raise our kids. He adopted my son. So that's the only dad he's ever known. His father ended up passing away from cancer and he never got to know him. So, but that's a story for another day. How long have I talked? Oh, not too bad. I thought this would be longer than that. So yeah, it's going to be a busy week. I am going to go out and do Uber. I'm going to do it today, tomorrow, Wednesday. I'll probably even do it Thursday and Friday. I might try and do it every night. We'll see. But I'm going back over to my son and daughter-in-law's house because they're going to be doing the music festival. J Tree is twice a year. You guys know I went with them last year in the fall, but they also go in the spring, but it's just incredibly hot. So the kids don't really enjoy going when it's going to be over 100 degrees. So they go because my son's always one of the featured artists out there and he does live paintings and stuff. So they're going to be camping out there. And while they're there, I get to stay at their house, which I told them is like staying at a resort for me. I enjoy staying at their house and watching the fur babies and the kids and all that stuff. So I'm going to be over there. And but I'll be back Sunday, but I'm going to be doing a live. And the last live I did was from their house. So I think I'm going to be doing a live this Friday night, Pacific Coast time. I think I started it last time at 7. I don't know. I'll see. I might start it a little bit earlier. We'll see, because a lot of you are from the East Coast, so it's already later there. Maybe I'll start it at 6. We'll see. But yeah, I'll remind you guys ahead of time because, the more there, the merrier. We had a lot of fun last time. I loved answering questions right on the spot and you guys talking to each other and just had a really good time. So yeah, plan on that. I'll be doing a live then. And thank you for helping me get to 4,000. As of this morning, it was like 4,012. Yay! That is such an accomplishment to me. I know it's nothing, absolutely nothing compared to some of these channels, but when you think about it, I'm thinking 4,000 people actually want to subscribe and listen to me. That's amazing. I'm so impressed and so touched. And like I said, the crowd that's here, the people that are here that comment on a regular basis, they're amazing. They're all like people I wish I knew in real life because I would actually hang out with them, which is saying a lot because I am an introvert and I'm not very social. So, I'm very picky about the people that I would hang out with, and I would hang out with all of you guys. You're funny. I like funny people. I like people that have an inappropriate sense of humor. I will, my husband did that to me. I wasn't like that, but my kids are the same way, but we're careful. I keep it in check. I know when and where, I cater to my audience. There's some things I just wouldn't say online because my grandkids watch me too. And they know how Nana is, but I try to be careful. But with that in mind, I wanted to recommend another YouTuber. He's just starting. I guess he started a while back, but then he quit for a while, but he's trying to get started again. And I really appreciate his channel because this young man, I can say he's young, he's in his 50s. He's had several strokes and he's recovering and he's going through his recovery. And I think doing YouTube is going to be part of his recovery because he talks and I think all this stuff is helping him. But I just appreciate hearing what it's like to go through something like that. His life has changed drastically. He was living I think he said in Lake Havasu, and he was an interior designer, and now he's starting all over again, and he's back in Oklahoma. He calls it Muskogee Land. That's the name of his channel, by the way, Christopher, and that he's the gentleman that has that channel. But I just love him. And but speaking of inappropriate, he's not for kids, obviously, but I still love him. He's got a very sweet, gentle nature, but you just don't watch him with kids in the rooms. But I appreciate what he's going through, and he's real and he's honest and he's funny. I like funny. And he lives in he calls it the handicap Hilton. And he takes a walk around, he walks and talks, and we get to see the characters that live in his building and stuff. But I think you guys, some of you, not all of you, some of you will enjoy his content. But I just adore him. I think he's absolutely hilarious. So yeah, just go check him out. He's just, like I said, he's starting and he's trying to build his channel, and I think this is going to be a big part of his recovery. So with that, I will let you guys go, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great Monday. Yeah, great Monday if you can. I'll see you Tuesday.